approximately 45 minutes. And as Francesca said, if you have any questions, please let's wait until the end, because as it is a webinar, it will be better. So let's start. This afternoon we are going to see some new things, or some things about the retention. Why? Because retention is really important nowadays. We have been focusing on the downloads, the app downloads, but sometimes we forget that what we really want are users, not just downloads. And imagine you have investors, or you want to have investors, what to see are users, real users using your app. So today we are going to see different tips or different things that we can optimize in order to the app retention, the app engagement of our application. Okay, you already Francesca already presented me, introduced me, so okay, this is me. Okay, yes, where we are today. This is, I see the app reality as something like this. So, where you see that everybody is a little bit lost. Everybody meaning the app and the app's owners or the app developers, because we sometimes don't know how to reach the users or how to engage them, and on the other side, the users, where they find some difficulties to find the real or the app that they want to use, and sometimes they forgot it, because we have so many apps installed in our devices. And this is my question now. I mean, yeah, we can be a little bit lost, but the thing is that one of the main causes of this can be the number of apps that we really use daily. How normally? Okay, I cannot ask it to you now, but normally on average we are using from 3 to 5 up to 5 mobile apps per day. And if you count the number of applications that you have installed in your devices, you will realize that we do use less than 10% of these apps. The thing is, how can we do that our app is going to be used, really used by our users? The thing is that we have to find or our users have to need our app. This is one of the reasons why we use applications. And on the other side, we also use those applications that are in our daily routine. I don't know, maybe we don't need to see what's the weather like today, but in the morning after checking WhatsApp, of course, we open the weather app to see if today is going to be sunny or cloudy, like it is today in Barcelona. So we have to achieve that our users need our applications, or our users have our app in their daily life. So I hope you see this. Okay, we want our users to include our apps in their life. And how we can do this? We can do this working on these 3 stages of the app retention. First of all, there's the welcome part. The first time the users use our application. Then, not while they are already inside, how we do to make them, to invite them to come again. And finally, there's another stage that we don't have to forget, and sometimes this is the main stage, the main stage that we forget. That's the analytics part. This is very important to not to forget this part, because thanks to all this information, to all this data, we can take some decisions in order to improve these other steps. So let's start. Here we see complex graph. I can explain it to you. Okay, what this graph would tell us, what this graph explain us, it's is the customer engagement after 3 weeks after 3 weeks that the user have installed the application. For example, the first week we achieved to have 55% retention. Then if we don't interact with our user in this first week, if we interact with them, we achieve to have a 82% of engagement. If we continue interacting with our user in the following weeks, we achieve this 90% retention. On the contrary, if we don't interact with the user these following weeks, what we achieve is this 23% of retention. You see the gap is really big, 90 to 23. Oh my God. There's almost 70% of difference. So what we have to do is to achieve and to increase the retention, this customer engagement. The key is to interact daily or weekly with our user. If we don't do this in the first week, we can do this in the second week and achieve not bad results at the end. But if we do nothing, you see that at the end we have this 23% of customer engagement. We'll see this image in the following slides, and we will see more in detail every part of this image. So, as we have seen in this graph that I tried to explain you, the early management engagement matters a lot. So, how we do or what can we do to try to engage the users at this first stage? The key is to welcome them and to welcome them really well, as we see here. And what can we do? My first recommendation is to treat them as if they were first-class passengers of an airplane, not as if they're a tourist-class user. We want first-class users. At least our users want to be treated as a first-class user. They want us to explain, to be really seeing what do they need, and to explain them at each stage what do they need to do. They don't want us to explain everything at the beginning and okay, that's it, and you're ready, you know what's your seat, and if you need something just raise your hand. No. We want them to feel really good. We can offer them some champagne or whatever. We can do this also in our application, and the key is to try to personalize this welcome, the different messages that we are sending to our users. First, another thing that we can also optimize is the onboarding. The first time that the user is the first time that the user has contact with our application. In this first time, in a lot of apps, in fact, in a lot of apps, we see some kind of tutorials in these like sliders, and explain you how to use the app, what you can do inside the app, and whatever. And the thing is that in this first stage, we don't really want to know how to use the app. We don't really want to know what we can find in the app. The thing is that we all miss these tutorials. We skip them. We want to go directly to the app because at the end we want to use the app and we want to feel this app, and we don't remember the different things and the different recommendations that are given to us on these first tutorials. So please avoid these tutorials on the onboarding. The thing is that on this onboarding stage, sometimes we need the information of our user. We need them to register, and although we don't need it because of the use of how the app works, I really recommend you to ask them their data. For example, their name and their email, because it's really interesting to have this email and their name to maybe contact them in the future with another channel, this email channel. And the thing is, how we can have this email? We can ask directly with, okay, just write it down, your name, sign up with your name and your email and write everything. Or we can use a social registration. For example, you have seen it in many apps. It's like, you want to register with Facebook, so tap here and accept, and you're already inside the app. And the thing is that with social registration, our users love these social registrations, and it's easier and quicker than normal registration. We don't need to tap and to write everything down. Related to this, the information we may need about the user, the thing is that sometimes we find a lot of apps that ask a lot of information. They don't ask also for the name and the email. They ask about, okay, what's, for example, this music app. This music app wants us to tell the mobile phone, your birth, when you were born, what else? The username, the genres of music you like, the artists you like. Wow. Imagine that you have opened this application for the first time and you know nothing about this app. Okay, maybe you're patient and you are going to answer all these requests until you finish it and you finally go to the app, to the real app, I mean, to use the app. But sometimes what happens is that our user is not so patient, and they don't want to answer all this information at the first stage. So what can we do if we need a lot of information about our user, and it is recommended not to ask everything at this first moment? The thing is that we want, in fact, the real thing is that we want to have continuous communication with our user. I mean, this first stage is not the only moment where we are going to communicate with the user. So why don't we ask all this different information that we need for another moment? I mean, I don't know, maybe let's ask for the name and username and wherever, and let's just go inside the app so our users can check how the app looks like. And then, while I want to reproduce some music, they ask us, well, what type of music genres you like? Okay, and then we can just tap different genres. And by the way, what kind of artists do you like? Blah, blah, blah. And we can choose it. But we are choosing it while we are going to use the app, or while we are already using the app, not at the beginning. So don't ask everything if you can ask it later. And going back to the tutorials, and we remember that I mentioned that it is not really recommended to have a slider at the beginning with all the tutorial, because we don't read it, and we want to use the app. In fact, the alternative is to use the interactive tutorials. These tutorials are those that show you how to use the app while you're navigating inside the app. At the end, you're learning. It's learning by doing. We are learning by doing these different things. So it's really better known that this learning by doing thing, it's the way that we humans learn better. So why don't show it? Why don't use it in our applications? I mean, while the user is inside a specific screen, why don't tell them, hey, remember that in this button you can find your child's face, blah 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 blah. Or while you're in the main screen, you can do this and you can also do that. And it's really nice if you can do this all together. It's true that this has more developing, and a lot of the design is quite more complex than in the sliders, but it's really more useful for the user than these sliders that we have seen in the other slide. Okay, so we have seen how to welcome users and how to welcome them as if they were first-class users. The key in this welcome part is to try to personalize all the information, not to ask everything at the first time, and let the user try the app, because it's that what they want. The second stage is the engagement part. The thing is that, okay, now they are already in our application. They want them to stay with us, not to just use the app once or twice. We want our users to use constantly, periodically, our application. How we can do this? Let's see it. Okay, do you remember this image, this fantastic image with a lot of information? As I said in the beginning, it's really important not only to interact and to do some things and to communicate with the user at the beginning, but also in the different weeks that our user is using the app. So let's see what we can do to achieve this result, this 90% retention results, and what to do in order to avoid this 23% retention. And here we can do three things to engage the user after the download. First of all, we can communicate with the user, we can improve our UX, user experience, and also we can introduce the gamification. Regarding the communication, we'll see, but the thing is that we don't have to forget that we have different channels of communication. Regarding the user experience, well, this is really deep. Usually we could be speaking about user experience for hours and hours, but I only want to say that this user experience can make a real change in our user engagement if we improve it, and we'll see some examples. And finally, we'll talk about the gamification. The gamification at the end, it's one strategy that we can use to make the users have an excuse to go into the app. And the thing is that we love to compete, and this gamification introduced this competing part, and the user, we can achieve that the user not only goes into the app because they want to do. There's some dogs barking here. They want to use not only because they want to use our app, but also because they want to improve their numbers, or they want to increase their ratings and to have better ratings than their friends or whatever. let's see everything of these parts more in detail. But before this, one important thing: this engagement after the download, it's what can give us the monetization we need, because most of our applications are freemium. The business model of our apps is a freemium model, because we hate to pay for a download, and it's really a barrier, and we don't really like it, and our users also don't like it. And well, if your app is free, if you don't have any business model, you will have it in the future, and probably it will be a freemium model. Freemium model is that model that you can use the app for free for a limited time, and then you have to pay for more time to avoid the ads or to have more features or whatever. So the thing is that the only way that we can monetize with this freemium model is having engaged users. And to have engaged users and users that are using the app after the download, we can do these three things: communicate with them, improving the UX, and the gamification. To see it in further detail. To communicate with the user, as we have seen, we have in-app, online, and offline. While we are in in-app communication, we can do 4 things: using the push notifications, using the deep linking, the in-app messaging, and the reviews. Sorry for the dog, it's really noisy now. Well, what do you think about the push? Think about them. And you can tell me at the end of the session. The thing is that only 20% of users have the push notifications activated. Only 20% in the whole world. This is the bad thing of the push notifications, but the good thing is that they are the best way to remind the user to open our app. So, although they only arrive to 20% of our users, approximately, it is really recommended to have a push notification strategy and to send these push notifications to our user. Another thing that is about the push notifications is that they can be segmented. As I said at the beginning, we want our user, in fact, not we want, but our users want to be treated as first-class users. And if we communicate and we send the same message to all the users, they won't feel special. They would love to receive a special communication just for them. For example, if my app is an events app, and they are informing all the users that in Madrid there's a big event regarding mobile marketing next week, it will be like, okay, very interesting for me that I'm living in Barcelona, but I would be more interested to receive some notifications and some news that about events regarding my area. Another thing that we can do with push notifications is that we can we can segment it, and we should let the user to opt in and opt out easily. Here we can see the example of Vueling, this airplane company, and they propose to the user to opt in or opt out of those notifications that they are really interested in. For example, if I'm downloading the Vueling app because I have a flight and I want all the check-in information in there, of course, I will obtain this. Sorry, these notifications. Maybe I want also to know everything what's happening inside the airport, but I maybe won't be interested in the promotions or whatever. So we can choose what we want to receive, and that's a way that we can say to the user, okay, don't worry, we won't send all kind of message. We won't send only promotions, because sometimes we use the push notifications only for promotions. You can choose what to receive, and if you don't want to receive promotions, we won't send any promotion at all. I like it. It's an organized way to ask the users what do they want to receive. Really, this deep linking thing is really linked with the push notifications. In fact, I mean, it is really recommended to use deep linking in a push notification. For what? For sending the user to a specific screen. Not because with the push notification, we can send the user to the main screen, or in fact, we can send the user to the specific screen we want them to go. For example, imagine that music app. I'm a user that has only registered the name, email, and the basic information, but I haven't registered the music genres or the music artists that interest me. So the music app can send me a push notification asking or telling me something like, hey, do you know that if you don't say what you like, we won't offer you the music that you will love, a music that you love, so do it now, or something like this. And with a deep linking, we can just open the screen where the user can choose the different genres and music artists that they really like. Inside the app, we can also communicate with the user. We can communicate with the typical pop-ups, or we can have a specific area of our application where we send different messages to the user. This is a really good way to inform the user what's happening, or or different things that they can be interested in. So, well, if you have an area or you have different things to tell to the user, don't misuse this opportunity. Sometimes people ask, okay, what can I tell to the user? I mean, the user is using the app and that's it. Why should I explain them different things or telling them different message or whatever? Thing is that the main reason why we want to communicate with the user, to use notifications, to use the blinking with these notifications, and to use different in-app messaging, is because we want the user to feel good inside the app. We want the user to feel that we are customizing everything for them. So with these messages, we can, in fact, help this personalization. We can help the user to feel more better inside our application. And finally, there are the reviews. We need reviews. We should communicate with the user to ask for reviews, because they are really, really, really good for us, for our app rank, to help our other users to download, convince our other users to download the app, and other things. But the problem is that, okay, we see that 75% of people identify reviews as a key driver of downloads. That's, as I said, we need downloads. And people read 33% of users read more than 7 reviews. Okay, people read them. a lot of them. The problem is that 64% of users haven't left single review in the past year. Past year has 365 days. Come on. I mean, how can we do to convince the user to leave us a review? Because we really need them. And the most important thing, a positive review. Because it's easier for us, for the user, as a user, to leave a negative review. If we are not happy with something, we just leave the bad review and that's it. But if we are happy with an app, it's really difficult for us to say yes, I want to rate the app, open the market and start writing the review. It's wow, a really heavy process. But we can insist, and we should insist. And we can do it in different ways. We can just work with pop-ups, as we said here in the app, in app messaging, asking the user to leave a review. Good luck with them. If it's the standard pop-up, most of the users say, no, I don't want to leave a review. Well, sometimes we say yes, but most of the time we say yes is because we are not really happy with the app. Take this into account. And where else? The key, if we are using this pop-up messages to ask for reviews, is to use a good message in this. I mean, not a good message, but a good communication, a good text, a good copy in the message of the pop-up. Because sometimes we forget that we app owners or app developers are people talking to other people that are the user. And because we forget this, because most of our messages seem that are written by a robot to other robots. It's like, read the review. Do you want to read the review? Yes, no, later. Yes, that is the typical message. But what if we say in this message, hey, you've been using the app for 3 weeks. We suppose that if you've been using it, is that because you like it. And we are happy to have you here. And we really want more people to discover our applications, because that's the way that people download it. And one way to help us and make other people discover the app is leaving a review. If you leave a review, a positive review, people will write it and they will read it, and they will download our app. So they will be able to enjoy the app as you are doing it now. Okay, this in a shorter way. But I hope that you understand what I mean. I mean, not on like in a robot tone, but in a not funny, but in a friendly tone. Here, I have an example that I really like it. This is a keyboard application, and they have on their hamburger menu this at the bottom of their hamburger menu, they have this rating, and they ask, what do you think about Thing? That's the app. If you just take 1, 2, or 3, an email is open and they ask, what don't you like about Thing, about our app? Please tell us everything, because we want to improve our application. And on the other way, if they choose 4 or 5 stars, they just launch a pop-up message and they say, hey, can you just review us on the App Store since you love the app? Share your love. And if you accept, you go to the App Store or Google Play Market. This is a really good way to manage the reviews. Bad reviews are going to stay in home. Good reviews, we're going to push them to be at the markets. Remember that 3-star review needs 7 reviews to a puntuation of 3 stars needs 7 reviews of 5 stars to have a rating of 4 or half past 4. I mean, the good reviews are those of 4, half past 4, and 5. We hate 1, 2, and 3. So if some user leave us a bad review, we need a lot of good reviews to increase our rating. And the thing is that, okay, I'm telling you that we have to communicate with the user, but how can we do this? Are there any tools? Yes, these tools are the mobile marketing automation tools. This is a long name, but they are pretty useful. For example, imagine that you need your users to activate the location of the app. You need the users to activate the location so the app can use this location. You can ask it with a pop-up, simple pop-up, or you can have this previously screen telling them, if you active the location, we can show you other places or other shops that can be in your area. This is a beauty app, so they want to show us the beauty shops around us. And you say okay, and if you say okay, they show you the typical pop-up, and they see this arrow. Yes, I want to access the location. But so we can do this with all the different activations that we need. For example, the push notifications, the location, the access to camera, or whatever we need for the user to do. It's better that if we explain to the user why we need things that to show directly this message without explaining them anything. So this mobile marketing automations tool allow us to do these things. Let me drink some water. These mobile marketing automation tools are kind of CRMs for mobile marketers. We can have not only they help us to communicate with the user, but they also help us to have better information about this user. In fact, the process is on the other way around. We have better information about the user, and thanks to the information, we can communicate to the user in a better way and with a better channel. Sorry. And as we have more information about the users, we can segment them. We can segment the users to send the push notifications to the right users at the right time on the right service. And Upboy, that's the company that has developed the big graph, the big image that I'm using during all the presentation, is one of these tools. But they are not the only ones. We have different tools that we can use depending on the kind of company that we are. For example, we have Upboy or Swerve or Urban Airship that are tools for quite a big companies. We have, for example, Intercom that are they are more specific for smaller companies or startups. For example, they are not very expensive, and so smaller companies can use them. And we have a lot of companies. So the key is to find the tool that better suits our needs. All of them or most of them do similar things, so what you have to do is to find which kind of tool is better for your app, for your company, at the end is your business. Until here we have seen how to communicate with the user in-app, but as I mentioned before, in-app communication, it's not the only communication we can have with our user. We can communicate with the user also online. In fact, here I'm showing you an example of a breastfeeding app called Lactab, and because they really do a really good online communication. They are a mobile application, but they have a lot of users. A lot of users, yes, and in their website, because they have a really big blog, and a lot of people is interested on their content. They also have a lot of users in the different social media networks. They are really active in it, and they also do big efforts regarding the PR. To have access to TV and newspaper and other medias. So why this is important to have another channels to communicate with users? So it's important because sometimes we lose the user forget us and disinstall the app, or maybe we are in their device but totally forgotten. But if we can access them, or we can achieve to arrive to them with different channels, we can just sending them reminders, or if we need something from them, we can ask it outside the app. For example, these people were launched the one version, and they needed to have quite a lot of downloads in a short period of time, because they needed to show the numbers to different investors. So what did they do? They asked on their different social media, on their blog, everywhere, to the people to download the app and to start using it and to register, and to tell friends to download this app. So the result was that they have achieved quite a big amount of downloads without investing almost €0 in-app downloads. In fact, in non-organic downloads, for example, Facebook ads. This is something that having this community, it's really good for an application, because we are so digital nowadays, and the apps are so digital that sometimes we forget that we have, in fact, we can communicate with using other channels. Here, there's another example of how to communicate offline. Here it's the app My Taxi, and they have launched different campaigns to invite people to recommend the app, but not online, offline. For example, one of these recommendations came from the driver to a passenger. If you use this coupon, you have €10 for the next trip, or if you give this coupon to your friend, they will have €10 for the next trip. There's another way. If at the end your users are offline, maybe you can reach them and communicate with them also offline. As I said, UX, it's another part that we can optimize in order to increase our retention. Here in this picture, we see different things that we can optimize on our application. For example, we make mistakes, so it has to be easy to undo whatever we have done. Or for example, we have unconscious processing. For us, green is good, red or orange is not so good. So maybe what we want the user to do, let's put it in green, for example. Or the thing is that we pay attention to anything that's different. So if you want your user to pay attention to something, make it brighter, make it that this movement, an image that it has movement, make it something that can attract their attention. Thanks to the UX, Privalia, this outlet app, the Spanish outlet app, has achieved to increase their sales. They have, in fact, more sales with their mobile apps than with their desktop web. I mean, and they were born as an online business, so they have known how they knew how to do this change, that to go from online to mobile. And the last part is the gamification. Here, there's an example, this World Reader app that's an NGO that wants to increase the alphabetization in Africa and wants people to read more and more and more, to be more free, thanks to this the reading and the learnings that they can get from the reading. And we have introduced this gamification into this reader, and after just 2 months we have seen that it has done a big difference. They have increased, the sessions per user have multiplied per 8, and the returning users have multiplied per 2. So, and it's just with 2 months of information. Imagine with more time. At the end, finding new customers, it's also more complex than keeping our customers with us. So let's try to keep our users using the application. Yes, it's a big effort to find what to say today, what to communicate to them, etc. But at the end, it's easier than to find new users. And don't forget that it's never too late to start. If we start late, we can also increase our retention rate. Finally, we have seen how to welcome users, how to engage with them, and now we see briefly how to analyze the information. The thing is that, just to have a little bit of data, iOS apps have higher retention rates in general than Android apps. And regarding the different verticals, we see that retail and commerce apps have the higher retention rate, while the utility apps have the lowest retention rate. That's maybe normal or not normal, or maybe these ones work better the communication and they insist with us more to go into the app again. But well, we can see why. The thing is that we can calculate the app retention, and we should. And here we have different things that we should take into account while calculating our app retention. We have to know the session length, how frequently users come into our application, how many screens they see per session, the different conversion rates for the different events we have, how many interactions they do inside our application, how many opt-ins and opt-outs we have inside the app, and the retention rate that we see now more in detail, and also the monetization. There's some trouble regarding retention rate because not many people agree that we can calculate this retention rate. What I recommend is to calculate the retention rate for a given time period. For example, 30 days retention rate. So we can calculate the number of users retained after these 30 days, and we can divide for the number of installs of these 30 days. Regarding the monetization, as we have seen, we are doing this not only to increase the engagement, but also, I mean, a consequence of this, we are going to increase our monetization. It's important to know how to calculate our monetization, and this will be different in every application, but different aspects that have something to do here are the installs, the monthly retention, the MAU, the monthly active users, the monthly average per user, the ARPU, and with all this, we have the final revenue. So we have seen the different key stages in this app retention. The funny part is that this is not a linear process. This is a working process. We have to welcome users, engage them, and analyze the data. Why? Because we have to improve this welcome, this engagement, analyze again. So this is a working process. The app retention is at the end a working process, as almost everything in the app. So, well, until here the presentation. If you have any question, now it's time to ask it. Francesca, you are here to manage it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here and I will manage the question. Don't worry, Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa, for your presentation. So, guys, if you have any question, raise your hand or write a chat or send an email to info@betterlifeappchallenge.com. In the meanwhile, here we have some question, and you talk about the different in-app tactics, such as push notification, deep linking. So the question is which one has the better conversion, depending on the two different devices, iTunes and Android?
I don't have the information regarding this, how they work between different devices. And the thing is that this will depend a lot on the application, because at the end, all these different actions that we are doing here, the push and the messaging, and at the end is different types of communication. It to be successful, I mean, to find the right pattern or the right message there's not the message to share with our users. This message will depend on our application and what we do. But the thing is that if you are asking me if I have the numbers between the results between iOS and Android, I don't have that.
But between the different tactics, it's which one have a better conversion? Push notification, in-app messages?
Push. I mean, each of them are used for a different reason. I mean, the push are used, and it's the best way to remind the user to go in the app. So, and this is the best way. I mean, sometimes the emailing helps, or sometimes the I don't know, messages in the social media may help, but the push notifications are the best way to remind the user to go back to the app. And the in-app messages has a different use. I mean, they are not for reminding us to use the app, because in fact we are already using the app. These are fantastic to telling the user other things that they can do, or other things that happen inside the app or outside the app. So they have different uses. I don't see if I don't know if I explained.
No, we understand. You are right. They have also different meaning in all the process. And we have here another question about push notification, and they ask what is the right frequency to send push notification, avoiding to annoying our user? What you suggest?
Test it. I won't recommend you to send push notifications daily. Avoid it. Maybe weekly. It's a good time, or maybe I mean imagine yesterday I was working with a restaurant, some kind of restaurant app or something related with the going to restaurants, and we were suggesting. I was suggesting them that maybe they could send the user some messages, some push notifications on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. Not all the Thursday, all the Fridays, and all the Saturdays, but maybe one Thursday in 2 weeks, or one Friday the following week, one Saturday, because these are the days that people used to go to restaurants. So there's not, I mean, it's like the when is the best time to send an email. That also depends on the people subscribed on their database. And I mean, yeah, in general, they say that sending an email is better to send it on Monday and on Thursday. The push notifications, it's more or less the same, and send it them the beginning of the week or at the end of the week. But this is in general, I mean, general talking, general speaking. Test it. I mean,
Yeah.
the data, your data will tell you when is your best time to send a push notification.
Yeah, to analyze the behaviors, identify these hot moments, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so we have here another question. Can you recommend a free tool to measure all this metric about retention?
Free tool.
Yeah, for startup, yeah, because our users are normally startups.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you can recommend one free tool for
Okay.
beginner,
A
yeah,
good tool to measure the in-app usage.
yeah,
It's a mix panel, and they have really quite they are. I think if you don't have a lot of mouse or daily active user or monthly active users, they don't they it's completely free. It's a pretty interesting tool. I haven't used it in already, but people have recommended to me a lot, and I've seen it how it works, and you see how the user goes inside the app. I mean, from this screen they interact with this button, then they go to this screen and this other screen, and the clue, no matter which tool you are using, is that you have to identify the main events of your app,
okay.
because and the different funnels that you think the users are following. Because if not, what are you going to measure? The time inside the app, the frequency between sessions. Analytics, Google Analytics can give you this information. But if you work a little bit deeper and you define these different events of your app, you will have more information. And Mixpanel, I'm sure that can help you with that. Or Google Analytics, for example.
With the Firebase, Firebase is a tool for this,
It's
isn't it?
it's Firebase, and with Firebase, you can also use it for sending push, and they have. I mean, this is a Google tool, and they have a lot of information. I haven't used it, so I cannot tell you if it's wow or not. I know that a client is using it, and they are working really well with it, but I haven't asked them feedback recently.
Okay, so the last question is how can we motivate users to leave positive reviews?
This is the
Yeah,
key question.
yeah,
Well, first of all, you have to have a good app.
yeah.
If you don't have a good applications, I'm sorry, but people won't leave you good reviews. And if you do have a good app, try different messages. I mean, you can try this pop-up, and you can ask with these pop-up messages, or using this example. I really like it, and this really works well. And but the thing is that there's no way to push users to leave you a review. We have to suggest them, and we have to suggest a lot it, because if not, we don't have the reviews, only bad reviews. I mean, these are the normal reviews that users don't hesitate to give.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you, Vanessa, for your presentation. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I want also to thank all the participants, and we will upload this recording of the webinars and also the presentation in the Better Life App Challenge website, so you can find them if you want to go back to some topics that Vanessa spoke about. And thank you again, and have you a nice evening. Thank you, Vanessa. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.